Hello, my name is Owen Fletcher, and I'm an instructional technology specialist in Richmond County in Augusta, Georgia. And I wanted to share some tips with you about musictheory.net in Canvas. If you've ever used musictheory.net as a music teacher before, you know it's a very powerful tool. Great, you can customize exercises and do all sorts of fun things with it. But the problem is, if they're not right there in front of you, how do you know how they did? How do you send them the exercise you want them to do or the lesson you want them to view and then get it back? Now, there are some traditional ways that I've done it. I used to use Edmodo a lot. I used to use Microsoft Teams, and there's some things you can do. Okay, you can, if you've got a exercise you want them to complete, you can customize it. I've got a real simple treble clef one here. You can copy that URL and then go attach it to an assignment. So it would be something like this. Let's create an assignment in Canvas. And we're going to create MTNet testing. You could say, you give them some instructions like use this link, okay, and paste your code or link when finished. You know, you'd want to be a little more eloquent than that when you're giving them instructions. But the problem with this route, even though it works, is that it sends them out of Canvas, right? It sends them out of Canvas and you got to come back, or it sends them out of any learning management system that you're using. There is a way, and it takes just one extra step in setup for you to complete, to do this where kids can complete the assignment directly within Canvas. And it's one of the features about Canvas that I like, and it's an advantage over some of the other learning management systems that I've used. Okay, so if I go over here and look on modules, let me show you. So here is a very simple treble clef one here. Let me, if I can get it to work here. Come on, Internet. All right, so I've given them some instructions, and there's the exercise right in Canvas. And when kids complete it, they can click on it and copy their link, and the submission that they get is a URL, so they'll just submit the URL to me. So I can go through, it saves a couple of steps for them, and it saves a couple of steps for me, and we never have to really leave Canvas. So how do you set this up? It is through something called an embed code. It sounds terrifying, but it's actually really easy. Okay. Right now I'm looking at musictheory.net under their frequently asked questions. If you scroll to the very bottom, they have a little FAQ. So if you lose this and you want to find this again, this is how you do it. There's a little question: may I link or embed your content? And they say absolutely. Okay. So an embed code is a little piece of HTML code that you can paste if into a text box, that if it's designed to read HTML, it can read this and embed content in here. Okay, so they've given you a really simple exercise here, one of their note identification ones. I'm going to highlight all of that and I'm going to copy it. Now when I come up here and create a new, let me go back to my assignments. When I create a new assignment, here's how I'm going to set this up. Okay, I would go ahead, and if you want to explain to the kids what you're going to do, okay, you say something like complete the exercise below, and then when complete, use the, and this is where you kind of have to be a little bit specific, copy link button after you've signed your report. So the signing of the report thing is, it requires you to have challenge mode turned on, and for most of these I would do that, because otherwise you're not really going to be able to see what the students have done. So when you set up an exercise, make sure you've got challenge mode turned on, and then have them sign the report. And that copy link is really important, okay? Because they have a choice of copying a link or copying a code, and copying the link will make things a lot easier. Now, what do I do with that embed code? Well, I don't paste it here in the rich content editor. I can go ahead and type up my instructions up here at the top, but I'm going to go over here to the HTML editor. That little button right there. Now you see I can see the text I just typed, but it's got all this gobbledygook around it. This is the HTML code, okay? And it just tells the computer how to format the text. And the rich content editor hides all that from you. And it basically, when you're clicking on buttons up here, it's behind the scenes. It's doing all those things. It's adding all that code. So if you see when I made this copy link bold, if I come over here, you can see it's got these little brackets that say strong, okay, around it. So that's how it's doing it. It's hiding all that from you. But I can come down here below this code, and I'm just going to paste that embed code. So all of this. Now there's really not a lot you have to do here, okay? Here's the URL for the code that the exercise that I created. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come back here. If I want this to run in my exercise, but with this unique one, all I'm going to do is highlight that https.musictheory, etc. And I'm going to paste in between the quotation marks there. Okay, you got to leave the quotation marks, don't have any spaces, but I'm going to paste. I'm going to hit Control V. So that is my new exercise that I had customized myself. And I leave everything else alone. If you wanted to change the size of the embed, you could change the number. The 600, and 600 means pixels. Okay, so you can change that, but I wouldn't for musictheory.net. It works. They usually got it working right in that aspect. Okay, and that's it. Okay, when I switch back over to the rich content editor, look what it does. It actually embeds the challenge here. Okay, and once the kids do it, the first time they do it, they'll do their start challenge, and then they can click on high score. And this is what, if you haven't used challenge mode, they have to sign their name and hit sign report. And they can either copy a code or copy a link. But I would have them copy the link. And what you need to do when you set up your assignment is go down to the submission type. Okay, let me see, where is that? I missed it. Submission type. I would do online. Okay, you can have no submission. I would do online submission and check website URL. So the only thing that can turn in is a URL. Okay, and that's what you'll get if they do this copy the link. Okay, so when they submit it, you'll see a link and you'll click it. So you'll have to leave Canvas for just a second, but you'll be able to see this code. Let me see, copy link. All right, so when you click on that link, this is what you'll see. You'll see their name. You'll see what exercise they did, how many they attempted. So I only had, like, for this easy one, I only had like 5 out of 5. Okay, you can set this. I usually like to do 20 questions is a good number for these little exercises for practice and everyday assignments. And you can go down here and see the parameters. These should match what you gave them. So, you know, if they, and I've had kids before who, whether by accident or on purpose, got the wrong, code or got somebody else's code. It kind of helps you double check that. But you can kind of quickly and see and come back and then hop over here to Canvas and grade it. So there's a few steps for you, but the big advantage of doing this is the kids never have to leave Canvas to do this. They'll see the exercise directly within the Canvas exercise. They can copy the link directly within the Canvas window, and they can paste it into the submission in Canvas and then go on to the next thing in the module. So it's a really powerful tool. Let me quickly summarize here. So you can go up to the musictheory.net facts and go to the may I link or embed your content question, and it shows you this little code that you can copy. When you set up an assignment in Canvas, you can set it up, instead of with the rich content editor, you can switch to the HTML editor, and you paste that code and replace what's in brackets here. Make sure it does not don't leave any spaces, and make sure you leave the quotations. but you don't have to understand anything else that this is doing. All you've got to do is paste your URL in between the quotation marks, and that's it. And it'll work. Make sure you think through your instructions that you give kids. Let me show you what let me show you some of the ones that I've done here that we're working on trying to make public for everyone. Okay, so for example, on this one, I kind of gave them step-by-step instructions about, how to start the challenge, what happens if you see the high score, because if they're logging in on a public computer, somebody else may see it. Okay, and how to use the copy link and turn it in, and you may want to give them more specific instructions about like what kind of assignment this is. But I just had a generic instructions that I copied and pasted, and I've gone through, and this is what I'm hoping to make public. I've gone through and embedded all of musictheory.net's lessons and a kind of an appropriate and increasing difficulty exercises to go with them. It doesn't quite, it's not really good to do this as, you see it's a ton of material. It's not really appropriate, I think, to try to run this as a self-contained module, but my hope is that if we can make this available to everybody, this will allow you to, copy and paste certain aspects of this module for what you want to use, of whatever's appropriate for your course. But in the meantime, until we get that made public, I wanted everybody to know how I did this, because it's a great tool. It works on the lessons too. And I think I said that, but here it is. Here's that interactive lesson from musictheory.net, but it's embedded directly in Canvas. So I love this aspect of Canvas. I hope it's helpful to you. Good luck.